We're live. Hello, Mick.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Doing great. Nice to see you.
Good to see
And
you.
we're thrilled to have this opportunity to practice technology in place of what would be a more traditional art opening. But that's the kind of thing that we are learning at this time, and it's actually kind of fun. It's great to see you sitting in your creative space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is what I have another building out the back. This doesn't get that messy because I do all the messy work in the other building, you know.
Right, right. Looks beautiful. For those of you who are joining us for today's Zoom interview, we're really pleased to have you here with us. We're meeting with Mick Doellinger in his Fort Worth, Texas studio. And Mick and his wife, Katrina, would normally be here with us at the Mockingbird Gallery in Bend, Oregon for an advertised event. You can probably see behind me a lot of beautiful wildlife and animal subject matter sculpture. I'll give you a quick tour here in a second. But in lieu of having him here, we're doing a Zoom visit. And this is actually kind of fun because it's going to give all of us an opportunity to see an artist in his natural environment, the place where he gets most creative and where all the magic happens. And so Mick, we're really pleased, and thank you for taking the time to do this with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay.
So anyway, Mick, you're probably peeking over my shoulder. Why don't I do something here to get this rolling? I'm going to pick up the iPad, and I'm going to give people a quick look at the studio here, the gallery.
Okay.
And see if I can remember how this works. Let's see. Reverse it. Excellent. Here we are. So first of all, everybody, you can see what a beautiful day we've got going on here in Bend, Oregon. Lovely weather, fall color. And back in the studio, we have a little tour of Mick's gorgeous sculpture front and center. So we'll just go wander through here. We've got some absolutely wonderful wildlife, wonderful animal subjects. And we're going to pass over here to one of our favorites. This is the American Icon. This is an award-winning sculpture. Mick just took a special award this year at the Autry Museum in Los Angeles for this sculpture, and he'll tell us more about that. And let's transition to some more bison subject matter. Here we go. And let's do this. We're going to wrap around the room here. We'll start with the beautiful deer. You can kind of see what we've got going on here, a lovely island of sculpture. And Mick, I got to tell you, over this last week that we've had the show open, it has been so popular. Your work, obviously, right here in the window has been drawing people in. We've had so much fun talking about it. For anybody who's interested, I have to be selling, right? This is the very last Longhorn in the series. It's a piece called Tailwind. We have the number 9 of 30 here at Mockingbird Gallery. There were only 30 castings, and it has been one of our favorites, one of the most popular pieces. If you want it, you need to let us know. So here we go around at the rest of these subjects. There's that beautiful elephant. That's called Think Tank. Here's the Knight. And Gaining Ground. It is beautiful. That's a newer piece. That's a 2020 release by Mick. Gaining Ground. A cheetah. Reminds us of our whippet at home. I bet you it's almost as fast. Another beautiful look at this longhorn. And one of Mick's most popular subjects is the canine subject. And this is a German pointer, am I right?
Yeah, German short-hair pointer.
German short-hair pointer. All the characters captured. And this is a distant relative of yours? Sorry, I don't know why I said that. And here's our beauty to finish things up. The reclining nude. So let's see if I can return things back to normal. Wrap this back around. Of course, magnets. All right, Mick, we're back in action. All right. So let's move on to what we have planned here today, Mick. You were going to be, we're going to be showing some slides. And yeah, these slides are going to help us explain the process. Am I right?
Yeah, I just thought I'd show a little bit of the process. It's not obviously not going to be the whole foundry process or anything, just some of my thought process and, you know, with the designs and that, and little issues, little problems here and there that I have to think about, that most sculptors would have to think about, really, that if you're a painter, you never have to think about. So I'd probably start with like the deer that's right behind you, that out of nowhere sculpture. And I think you have the slide there. Now, this is the start of it. This is a wire armature, and I've put a bit of foam, polyurethane foam on there, and just roughly carved it back and put a bit of paint on there so I can stick clay on there so it'll stick. From there, I generally have an idea in mind, and this I was thinking of, like, actually road signs, you know, a deer on a road sign. But they evolve. As I start doing something, it changes. You know, I get better ideas or want to, you know, refine it somewhat.
So what we're seeing is we're seeing wire and clay.
No, this is wire and foam.
Wire and foam, okay.
No clay on this yet. So if you go to the next, you'll see a clay. Okay. Here you can see, now you can see the stem that supports it. The top left one is the earlier one. And then the one on the right, lower right, has had a bit more work done to it. So it may be interesting to notice the difference. In the one on the left, you can see how the head is much higher and the tail is a little bit shorter. The front legs are almost together. So these are little, what I call tweaks. I lengthened that tail, flipped the tip of it around backwards, lowered the head on the sculpture. As I lowered the head, it gave, to me anyway, gave it more speed. And then I dropped that one offside front leg, which I thought helped the composition a lot. The problem with a piece like this is, how do you support it? Because the peg there that's supporting it doesn't stay there. That's just there while you're making the sculpture. So a sculptor has to work out, you know, what you're going to use as a support. And that's
so the changes that we're seeing in these two images, they're subtle, but they're definitely there. And the more you look at them, the more you realize the thought process that's going into it. And absolutely, the lower one to the right is a stronger composition, a stronger, it more conveys the strength and character of the creature. How long does it take you to go from, let's call that image A to image B in the studio?
You know, I'll be working at multiple pieces at once. So image A, I would have got to that point, and then I may leave it for a while, and maybe a week or a couple of weeks, and think about it. And I'll pass it, look at it in the studio, and then finally I'll come up with another idea, you know, and it may be the tail I've done first. In this case, I did drop the head first. That was the first thing I did. And then, you know, after a while, I think about the tail and, okay, that'll work better. And then I think about the front legs, and so it went in that order. But these are subtle little things, but I think they help a lot, you know. And if I had just finished it, you can even see the angle of the back leg on the top one. You see the leg that's on the ground. Now it's pretty vertical, and then the lower one, we've extended that out, so he's really propelling himself more. But from here, when you have to remove the stems, as I said, having to work out how to support them and have it look like something natural, and some, you know, in this case, I thought, well, it doesn't have to be organic anyway. I mean, most people will try to do something organic, but I finally thought, well, I would do something different. But if we go to the next picture, here you can see some ideas. The top one, which would be like most people, some people have where that peg is, might have a tree stump stuck in its chest, which doesn't work that well, I don't think. And then you see here where that branch is laying down. Obviously the peg is going to be removed, so you have to allow for that when you're looking at this. You know, if you imagine without that metal peg there. So the top one, to me, as I looked at this, everywhere that branch touched seemed like an anchor, just slowed down the motion. I went from that to try that circle. And while it was so-so, you know, I thought, well, maybe in that, but I still wasn't sold on it, you know. And then finally, I came up and I was thinking of just some angular sticks, and they didn't have to be that organic, you know. So I thought, at first I was thinking of I guess a pound sign with the four, you know, the two vertical and two horizontal beams. And then as I started doing that, I realized I didn't need the top beam. And that would work fine. And dropping the bottom one, the horizontal one, so it touches the ground near the back foot, and angling the left pole more so, added to the speed, the motion, the forward motion of the whole composition. So I ended up going with that. You know, I thought I liked that the best. And then that was, I looked at it, obviously I do that and then I leave it there, because all of these I've left there probably for a week or two, you know, till I really understood whether I like it or not. So if we go to the next picture, I think is the finished one. Yeah, so there you can see it with those sticks there, which can be anything, you know, I mean, you know, anything that somebody wants it to be. They could be sticks in a garden patch or something that support tomatoes, whatever, with this buck is just busting out of there, you know. But so I thought that worked pretty well with the motion of the deer. A lot of them, you know, we have these problems when there's not much of the, you know, you don't have legs touching the ground. I think the next one was also one that we had that kind of a problem. You can go to the next one. It was a cheetah. Yeah, this was in years back in Namibia. I got the opportunity to measure a cheetah. So when I get an opportunity, even if I don't have a sculpture in mind, I will take advantage of the opportunity. In this case, I had made up a measurement chart and measured this live cat.
That's the back work. That's the research that goes into developing an accurate,
yeah,
you know, the anatomy, correct?
Yeah. So, well, it helps with the proportions and not, you know, it doesn't, I don't think there's any hard and fast rules there. I mean, my background from being in taxidermy, obviously you have to sculpt mannequins that the skin will fit like a glove. Well, it's not the case with fine art. It's just got to look right. I mean, you can exaggerate certain portions, you know, and so long as it all works for you. But starting when you know what's accurate, then you can, you know, add your artistic license, I guess. But
so this was back in 2011. You were taking those measurements.
Yeah.
And you didn't do your cheetah sculpture until last year.
Yeah, actually, I think it's from early
this year.
I started it last year, yeah. I did have another guy who'd been interested in a life-size one, and then he changed his mind, you know. But,
I see.
But so I still had these measurements and then finally used them, you know, coming up with this smaller cheetah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's different things give me ideas. Like I said, seeing this cheetah and getting the measurements, I've wanted to do a cheetah for a number of years. Sometimes I'll see something, I might see an image of something on TV, or it could be something I just think about and get an idea for a composition. And sometimes, you know, and a lot of times I don't do them straight away, but they might percolate in my mind for several years before I actually do them, you know, and then they may change from what the original idea was. But so anyway, I went with the cheetah, decided to do this gaining ground. I guess is the next image. This also had a problem with how to support it. So I want all the feet off the ground. You can see the top one, just the stem there. And as I mentioned with the previous piece, you know, that stem will be removed. And how do you support a piece like that? You can see in the bottom where it's been refined. You can see the head on the cheetah, the tail is thickened up, everything. There's, you know, how the paws on the back feet are curved a bit more. And then I came up with that arc, and I had tried the dead limb branch touching everything. Again, it just seemed to be like anchors everywhere it touched. And finally, when I came up with this arc, to me, it looked like it slid across there instead of being supported, because you're just over the high point. And yeah, so the motion worked, you know, I think anyway. But yeah, so it's just, yeah, difficult sometimes to come up with the right idea of support and the right composition, you know. As I said, sometimes I'll come up with a title for a piece too, before anything else, and then I'll think of a piece that will suit the title. But anyway, this piece was gaining ground, and it worked out pretty well. So the next slide, please. Yeah, that's the finished piece from the front. Okay.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. All the patinas I do here at home as well.
Let's talk a little bit about that. In the world of bronze sculpture, patinas kind of compared to putting a beautiful frame on a painting. You know, it's the presentation. It allows you to complete the look that you're going for. And there are, you know, obviously very, you know, foundries that employ patina patineurs or patina artists that are there to help the artist. You found out early on from conversations that I've had with you that you really enjoy doing that yourself. And these are your patinas. Are you still doing your own patinas?
Yes. Well, you know, I like the experimenting and coming up with different recipes. I mean, it's really, you know, I was trying to think of an analogy for doing patinas, and I think cooking would be it. Not that I'm into cooking at all, but I think that would be the closest analogy. Someone that is a really good cook, it's all about heat and how you apply it and applying the chemicals and that. But
certain amount of finesse.
Sorry, I missed that.
I say there's a certain amount of finesse in the kitchen where you know, where the instincts begin to take over a bit.
Yeah, which is difficult for me because, you know, even with cooking, I'm a heavy-handed sort of a person. You know, like cook steaks or anything, I'm going to overcook them, and you know, too much heat all the time. And I had the same problem with doing patinas. You know, for a long time doing too much heat, because you start with this cool metal sculpture, and you put the torch on, and you're supposed to heat it up slowly, just gradually build up the heat and get the heat as even as possible. Well, you know, I'd turn up that torch, be blasting heat on there, think, well, may as well get there quickly, you know? And of course, the hot spot, you get certain areas where the hot spots get so hot that it will just burn the patina as you apply it. Yeah. And you can't control the colors then, yeah? So it took me quite a while to figure that out. I'm a bit of a slow learner at times.
Well, I'd have to say, you know, slow and steady wins the race. Your patinas are beautiful, Mick, and we hear about that often from people who visit the gallery, and when they're admiring your work, it comes up in conversation quite a bit. And one thing we like about it is it complements those beautifully loose surfaces that kind of that's your signature. One of your signatures is the kind of the modeled loose surface. And then when you're working with that cool versus warm patina, it just highlights it and shows it off even more so.
Yeah, more than if it was just the patina was a monotone, I guess. Definitely. Sure. Then you'd just be looking at light refraction. But yeah, certainly the color. You can't always control what the lighting is going to be like, you know, in someone's home or in a gallery or anything. But, you know, having a right patina on that will definitely help showing off the anatomy and the texture. Sure. So Oh yeah, I had the next one, please, Amy. Now, this is a little squirrel reclining nude. And this is how it started with the wire. You see there's not a lot in here. On the other deer, the first one you saw, it had, I added foam around the armature in something small. This is a life-size squirrel. I didn't need the foam, so I just used, you know, the wire and the clay. And start working at it. So next one. Okay, you can see how that's worked it. This piece actually, I was, you know, and I just basically just do animals and that. And during this COVID time, I was thinking about doing something else, and I thought about doing a nude sculpture. I thought I really like classic nudes, and I thought, you know, that's what I want to do is a nude sculpture. And I was thinking about it, and I'm looking out the window here and watch these squirrels, and I thought, what about doing a squirrel like that? And you know, I just thought it would be fun to do, and it was. And trying to get his little face there, his hand supporting his cheek, pushing up his cheek, everything like that, and it's worked out well. A lot of people have really liked it. Can we see the next picture? You can see him there. Which is very similar. The lines are the classic lines of a nude sculpture like that, but it's a squirrel. So, which makes it funnier, I guess. And I don't know if you have a picture of the finished one?
We have a finished image. There it is.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Mick, that sculpture just puts a smile on everybody's face when they encounter it, you know, and I know that there's a lot of serious subject matter that comes out of that studio behind you, but every now and then we also recognize your desire to make people smile. You've got a track record of occasionally slipping one of those into the mix, and you know, your collectors have been looking for those. They were so excited to see the reclining nude, and we hope that continues to be part of what you do.
Yeah, well, I don't do too many whimsical pieces, but they are fun when I come up with the right idea. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this piece actually won an award at the National Sculpture Society recently in the 87th annual show. So it's been a very popular piece. You can see the scapulas on the back there, just working out how a squirrel would be laying in that position.
Yeah. And
I feel it turned out fairly natural looking, like as if the squirrel is actually doing that.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. And you know, that's a good example. What we just saw there, the front-facing slide and the reverse-facing slide, talk about the epitome of wanting to do a subject matter in 3 dimensions, you know, and having the ability to enjoy it from every single angle. And this is just a good example. Every one of your pieces is enjoyable from multiple angles. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that at first, that's what sculpture is all about, being able to get all the way around it.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point. I think, you know, like you look at these different images, and each image is a piece of art on its own. So when you have something like that in your home, and especially, you know, like homes that have windows on different walls and that, so you have different light coming through. You have all these different angles, like multiple pieces of art in one. And I think
yes, absolutely.
So I think a lot of times I've found with people that have bought sculptures that they have a place in mind where they want to put it in their home, and they put it there, and then sometimes a year or 2 later I'll talk to them, and then, you know, or I'll visit them and they've moved it somewhere else, and they had no idea. They thought it looked the best in one place until they moved it elsewhere, and then they thought, oh my God, look at that there, you know, and look how this works.
It's magical. We witness that in the gallery often, because we are, you know, monthly we're rotating the display, and it's really delightful to take a sculpture and place it in a different space within our environment here, have it lit from a slightly different angle, and it just opens itself up all over again. And that is really special.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that. And next one. Oh, okay. So this is American Icon. That's that bison mask, bust. This is how it started, just with a stick. Now, as I was thinking about this, all I had in mind was the head, the face. I didn't have any idea how to support it yet. So I will just start working on what I have an idea about and figure out the rest as I go. So here we have, this is the polyurethane foam, which you saw in the very first picture of the deer. In the deer, when I'd carved it, I painted some gray paint on there because the foam has so much dust on it. If you try to stick clay on it, it just wants to fall off because of the dust. So if you seal it with paint, you've got a good surface to put the clay on. But as you can see, the left is a side view and the right one is the front on view. And then I will just roughly get it sort of carved out, approximate, whittled out, carve it with a knife first and then use a rasp. And I think the next picture, please. So here you can see it's just roughly cut out. I've got a couple of wire rods in there where the eyes are to get my level right. And from there it'll get painted and the clay put on. Next, please. Okay, here as I'm putting clay on. I still don't have a good idea about the base. Here, this underneath the base is going to be one square on top of another at first, you know. So I think about that while I'm working on the rest of it and how I'm going to have the mane come across to one side and everything. You can see I've got that dividing line I've marked straight down the center of the forehead so I can keep my perspectives right there. And I just start building up the clay from there. Next one, please. Okay. There you can see getting closer. And at this point, I figured I would have the pyramid, or I guess it could be like a square mesa. Really, I thought that would work for the bison.
Great choice, by the way. That balances everything out beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah. On the top, you can see the mane on the top of his head that sort of blows forward, and I still haven't figured out exactly what to do with that yet. You know, it's standing up higher than how it ended up there. But fine, like I said, you know, I'll spend months on a piece. I mean, not that when you see a finished piece, it's like doing a maquette and then you're going to make a monument out of it. You know, the maquette is your blueprint. It's like having your plans for a building sort of thing. It helps so much. You know exactly where you're going, you know, rather than sculpting a really large piece straight away. And then, you know, it takes longer to figure it all out. But it's fun working it out too. So anyway, next, please.
Oh yeah.
So that is the finished clay. And I was trying to just get the look of the wind blowing across. So his mane and the mane on the back of his head coming across where his ears are there, just to give that kind of a look instead of just the straight on, just adding a bit of motion into something that would be very static looking. And the name American Icon, there was, I discovered several years back, I guess, they were designated to be the national mammal of the United States. So I thought American Icon was a fitting title for it. And that was that piece. Well, I finished that early this year. So that's
what was the Mick? What was the award you received on this?
It won the award for sculpture, the gold medal at the Autry Masters in Los Angeles.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's a large, I guess, I don't know, I think it's around 50 inches tall. But actually, you want to bring one? Yeah, I'll get Katrina to bring over another one. I wanted to turn around so people could see what the back looks like. Okay.
Hi, Katrina.
Yeah. You can go to the next slide while we're waiting here. This is rubber being painted on. That's the first coat of rubber, which is the imprint coat, which is very important. Okay. Can we go to full screen here, please?
We're trying.
Hold on.
Technical difficulties on our end, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Excellent.
So
Nice.
you can see this is all open in the back here. And I didn't feel that I was gaining anything by having a complete head on the back here, where then you've got a neck and you've got to feel, what are you going to do with the neck? How does that end? And do you need shoulders? Do you need everything else? So it was just a mask. But you get a better idea of the size of it, I guess. They're like that. But an interesting piece to do. And I thought,
well, even with the back end not on, it weighs, I'm trying to remember, 250 pounds?
yeah, I think it was 225 or something like that.
225.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I was doing this, I was thinking it was a piece that would work well in an entranceway coming into a building, or in a garden against a wall or something. You know, you could have flower beds or pots each side of whatever. And there's a lot of things you could do with a piece like that. But, yeah, I was pretty pleased with how it turned out.
Well, okay, so we've got, as you know, we have that piece set in the corner, which I feel is just perfect of our front room. And, you know, Mick, when you walk up close to that bronze, it's like approaching an impressionistic painting to a certain degree. You get close enough to it and you're seeing lots of layers of material that were being used to create it. You're also finding what appears to be a fingerprint here or there, maybe left behind when you were working on the piece, which is, you know, incredibly captured through that mold taking process. But it's also very much like an impressionistic painting in the sense that you turn, you walk across the room and look back at it, and the reality of it is just striking. And I know that that's part of the fun that you have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just smearing that clay, you know, coming up with those textures and that is a lot of fun, you know, when it goes right.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a great piece to work on.
And how many castings? 12 planned, I believe?
Yeah. Yeah, that's 12.
Okay, okay, wonderful.